Hello guys and welcome to this Seat Leon Cupra 280 ST. Now before we talk about this car, let's talk a bit about the history of the Leon Cupra. Based on the Golf obviously, and it first came with 132 kilowatts. It wasn't named the Cupra at first, it was named the Leon 20 VT or something like that. But the Cupra version of that generation was later called the Cupra R, which had 165 kilowatts. There was a less powerful version, but who really cares, huh? Then came the 1P, and it looked amazing in yellow. At that time, GTIs had 147 kilowatts. The Cupra came in and it smashed it all up with 177 kilowatts. It was a massive amount of power for a small car like that. I owned a yellow version and I still today absolutely adore how that car looks. Then they made a more powerful version, the Cupra R, but it never sold as well as the regular version. It had 195 kilowatts and yeah, it was cool, but it wasn't really that different, so yeah, people didn't buy it much. And now we come to this car, the Seat Leon Cupra ST 280. 280 obviously meaning the ways of adjustment you can make to the gearbox, engine, suspension, etc. There are so many ways. You know what I'm talking, right? 280 means horsepower and it converts to 206 kilowatts. Driven through the front wheels. Oh, happy days. Anyway, this, body style version was introduced in 2013. 2014 saw the Cupra, and it was introduced in two versions, 265 and 280. 2 years later, in 2016, came the 290, and in 2017 we saw the 300, which was, the facelift version of this car. The power difference between 265 and 300, you really can't notice it because the car isn't that light. It's front wheel drive, and if all conditions are perfect, you don't have snow, ice, any kind of wet surface, yes, maybe the 300 is quicker, but by a very small margin. In 2015 they introduced the ST or estate version of the Cupra, and this basically gave the opportunity for you to take your dog for a quick drive. To me, it doesn't look bad. It's an estate car. It can't look as good as a sedan in my books, but it's practical and it's very sleeper looking. And when I say sleeper, I mean apart from the fact that it has big wheels, 19s as standard, a Cupra badge here, and here, absolutely nobody can tell the difference between a regular FR Leon and the Cupra. This is the key of the Cupra. Lock here, unlock here. If you hold down the lock button, the mirrors will do their thing. But yeah, there is no keyless entry option on the 280 or the 290. The first Cupra that saw keyless entry and drive was the 300, and I think that's the best upgrade to the 300 apart from small details along the car. But keyless entry in this day and age is really a must. But it is quite cold out here, so I'm gonna start the car and tell you more about the different versions. So, no keyless entry, no stop start button. Put the key in, foot on the brake. Okay, so currently we are in Cupra mode, and as you heard, this is the Cupra startup, which means that basically the car revs a bit more. So if you start the car up, it really doesn't matter if the car is cold or hot or whatever. If you start the car in Cupra mode, it will use more RPM. If you get the 290, you get a better navigation screen, a much better response time, some details along the car, but On the interior, it's basically the same. For example, this is a later version of the 280, which means it already has a 290 screen. But the biggest difference in my mind is that 265, 280 don't get a loud exhaust. So let me geek out a little bit. 280, every version has two middle silencers and a big rear silencer. With the 290 from factory, Seat lost one of the middle silencers, meaning it made more noise just like that. And they also added some crackles and pops, and the end result is that the 290 sounds much better than the 280. But there is a simple solution, and you might have already guessed: a resonator delete or a muffler delete if you're gonna go crazy. Basically, that's what Seat did with the next generation from factory. Why shouldn't you do it? It might be illegal in some countries, so don't do it unless you're sure. And I didn't recommend it. Let's go on to the 300. Exhaust better again, bigger screen, and the most important feature, 4-wheel drive. But the 4-wheel drive is offered only on the Estate, the ST version. So if you want the hatchback, you have to go with the Golf R. Let's put the lights on with high beam. So I can tell you that this car has very nice headlights. Full LED. You see these three strips down here are the high beam, and the front, upper bit is the low beam, and you also get this daytime running light strip right here. Very nice. And stating that these are much better than the standard, xenon lights you get on a Golf GTI, Golf R in the same period. And if you come to the back, you can see that exhaust noise. Yep. So these are LED as well, and how nice do they look? I mean, it's basically a cheap car, but look at the quality on the LEDs. Okay, so as this is an Estate, let's talk quickly about roomy stuff first before we go on a drive. So to open the boot up, no hatch, you have to push the Seat button and it will open up. A big boot. Unfortunately, this does not come up with the boot itself, but if you tap it ever so slightly, it opens up, and it's really easy to use. You can remove it. Good job there. There is a lot of room. Skid plate. Yeah, basically you can throw some bikes in here. All the seats fold flat. I can quickly show you this. So they basically fold flat. As you can see, there is no lip if I get my boot floor straight up. No automatic tailgate, and this isn't an option even on the newest Cupra 300. So, sitting at the back, as you can tell already, this car has an Alcantara leather interior, and if I say leather, I really mean leatherette. Actually, it's plastic. It's really crap. It's tacky. It doesn't feel good, but the Alcantara is nice, so it sort of saves it there. So this is my driving position. Decent amount of legroom. The seat is very soft, not very supportive on the backside. Quality, yeah, it's a Seat. What did you expect? It's crap, really. But the good thing is that you have a nice handrest, a ski hatch. Everything squeaks and sort of rattles. Yeah. It's not a bad place to be, but definitely not as nice on the interior as a Golf, an Audi, everything German really. Manual mode, first gear. Listen to this. Grip is very difficult to find, but thanks to the front differential I can't really say anything bad about it. 280 horsepower through the front wheels is a lot of power, and if anything this car handles it very nicely. And if I have to say, better than the Skoda Octavia 245, which also has a limited slip differential in the front. They both use fake sound pumped through the speakers. Let's give the runner and the biker some room. On the outside the car is silent as a church mouse basically. What you hear on the outside are the DSG farts, and yes, they are there. This car does fart when you upshift at, you know, high RPMs. Lower down, yeah, it doesn't really make a sound at all. But this is a sleeper car, and that's what you want from a car like this. Cupra mode starts in sports gearbox, and it's a bit more responsive than the, you know, regular drive. But on the highway, you just want to put it in comfort and relax. Okay, so as I'm talking about the driving modes, there are 4. There is the Comfort, Sport, Cupra and Individual, and there are so many ways to adjust everything. So yeah, I've driven this car a lot, and I've driven different Seats, and just today I noticed that this car doesn't have an eco mode. But if you put it in individual and you select drive, no wait, if you select the engine modes, you can select between, wait for it, so individual, change, engine. If you select engine, you can have Comfort, Sport, Eco or Cupra. And if you select Eco, you can see the small E just appeared. This means that when you lift off gas, the car starts rolling, just like it would be in neutral on a manual car. If you press the accelerator, the car resumes in whatever gear you should be or what you were in. It's a clever solution, but I really wish they made a eco, you know, mode separately, because if I found it like this, I'm gonna guarantee nobody has ever found an eco mode on a 280 or 265 Cupra. So, steering. You have basically 2 modes, Comfort or Cupra. In the Cupra mode, it gets a bit heavier, but not by much. And I'd say on a highway, I prefer the Cupra mode because it feels more like a BMW, and you know, you have more control. In the city, obviously, Comfort, you like a light steering wheel. Well, why shouldn't you? It's just comfortable. Suspension, dynamic chassis control. As I said, this car has a front limited step differential, and it also can adjust the dampers. It's nothing like as brutal as a Civic Type R. So if you change from Comfort to Sport on a highway, you're not gonna notice it basically. Just for regular cruising, you're not gonna notice the difference between this car riding on 19s and a regular 1.4 Leon with, you know, eco tires. Maybe some more tire noise, but comfort wise, don't worry about it at all. 19s do not affect the handling one bit. Individual change. So I can steering differential lock doesn't make a difference in my mind. it still struggles in first gear, second gear it pulls through. Air conditioning, background lighting. Oh, background lighting. Oh, so basically if you're in comfort, the lighting is white. If you are in Cupra mode, or yeah, it has to be in Cupra mode I think, the lighting is red, so it's more sporty. Active cruise control, you can select between comfort, eco and sport. Why would you? If you're using cruise control, why would you want it to be in sport? Just stupid. 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 5.9 seconds I think, 5.8 for the hatchback, so not much of a difference there. The weight difference, we're talking a few kilograms. If I had to complain, turbo lag is really a big thing with this car. It's really an issue with all of the Volkswagen Group's hot hatches. It's just not as responsive as a Focus RS or a Civic Type R. Somehow they are just better. And talking about those cars, the steering isn't as good as well. Everyday driving, it's better because, you know, you can have more lock on the steering wheel, but in sporty and spirited driving, the slower steering rack really makes a difference. You know, in a Focus RS I would be going like this right now, but I'm turning like this and, you know, nothing really happens. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's not just as good, you know. Why not make a launch control start? So nobody's coming. Stability control off. Let's put it in Cupra mode. So okay, let's wait for those signs to go away. So foot on the brake. Let's let the RPMs rise and go. Nope. Sport gearbox as well. Sorry. Damn, that's a lot of wheel spin. Oh my god. Oof, that's bad. I want to see my lines actually. Oh my god, it had no grip whatsoever. This actually proves my point very well. You cannot launch this car. You simply can't launch this car. It's gonna spin its wheels and yeah, it's gonna go nowhere. The best way to start this car is just to, you know, slowly go into it. And if, let's be honest, you're not gonna impress any friends with the launch of this car, then why do it from first gear anyway? Best advice I can give you with a front wheel drive fast car, just use second gear. Or if you have to use first gear, just, you know, go easy a few seconds. Don't floor it in first gear. You're gonna spin the tires and go absolutely nowhere, as I just showed you. Okay, so I'm gonna do a better start this time. You know, just using manual mode, traction control is on, just floor it. Change gear by yourself, it's the best way really. So DSG is still one of the best gearboxes to use on a sporty car. On a day-to-day basis, is a regular automatic better? Yes, of course it is. It has a torque converter, a DSG doesn't. It's sort of stupid that way, and if something goes wrong, it's expensive, obviously. Thank God this car has warranty for 2 months. But anyway, the gears are just, you can just slam through the gears. They are so fast. And yeah, it doesn't really matter which mode you're in, they're fast either way. In D or regular mode, they're just sort of calm. In sport mode, it holds your gears and yeah, it won't go past 4th gear while you're driving, you know, in legal speed. And in manual mode, which is my favorite mode, you can just pull the pedal and go, go, go. Downshifts are fast as well, so 3rd gear right now. second gear, first gear. Now let's talk about the options and the interior. So, plasticky. What did you expect? This is a Seat, after all. Nice bits. Steering wheel. I like the leather on the steering wheel. The buttons are well laid out, very logical, easy to use. Seats. I'd ask for more support, but then again, Alcantara on the middle part keeps you roughly in the place where you have to be. As I said, I do not like the leatherette bits. I think they are tacky and very cheap looking. They changed this with the 300 and they use sort of carbon fiber effect. Not that much better really. Okay, it is better than this version, but still, you know, it's not as good. And another thing, I think the interior is a bit boring. Would it really have been that hard to add some color? Man, the sun is bright. To add some color to the interior? Just look at the Civic Type R. Red stuff here and there, metallic gear knob in this car. Again, if you're not in Cupra mode, if you're not hammering it, you could just, you know, think this was a regular Leon, an FR with some sports seats. That's it. It's not special at all. And you know, the small Cupra letters, you know, that are scattered around the interior, they don't make a difference really. Okay, so the options. Basically, this car is fully spec'd. Absolutely everything you could get, this car has, except from the sunroof. Yeah. And that's the one thing I'd actually like to have. Or the moonroof, whichever you call it. But as it is, this car has a black headlining, so it's quite dark on the inside, and a sunroof would make a big difference. Other options, adaptive cruise control, very good. You have to get that one. Lane keep assist, boo, sucks. It's one of the earlier versions and it just doesn't make a good job. What this car has and what I like is the Seat sound. It actually makes a difference. Sounds quite decent. No Burmeister Harman Kardon, but it's decent. It really is. Apple CarPlay and the navigation system, well, thank God it has Apple CarPlay. Let's just leave it at that. I wouldn't want to use the navigation system if I had to, because it's slow and unresponsive and old and not good at all. But Apple CarPlay saves the day and it's so easy to use. Just plug your iPhone in or Android, whichever you want to use. You can have Spotify and Waze and Google Maps and just play your music on it. It's so intuitive and yeah, it's one of the best features this system has. If you get the navigation, and basically that's one reason to get the navigation, and actually I'd buy a car with navigation just to get the middle screen in color. So basically if you get a non-navigation car, you have this black and white screen, and that by itself isn't bad, but it's so poor in its quality. It's like, you know, I can't really describe it. It's like a old Nokia phone. It's so dotted. If you get a navigation screen, you get this multicolor screen. You can see on video. You can, you know, see your driving data, your phone, your navigation, your media. Even you have a lap timer. This is a Cupra after all. I've said it before in the Cupra 4 Drive video. If you want the most space and you want a fast VAG group hot hatchback, get the Skoda Octavia. It's by far the biggest car there. If you want the most quality and, so to say, the middle version, which has everything you'd ask for and some more, get the GTI. Or if you have some cash, get the R. And if you want a car that's just sporty, you want something different, maybe a bit cheaper, maybe you want to go for the Golf R, but you just can't afford it, but you can buy the Seat because it's in the price range of a GTI basically. Anyway, if you want the most badass sporty car, hot hatchback in the market for the track, you have to go for the Type R or the Focus RS. If you want something you can live with every day, for example, something that has heated seats and automatic gearbox, yeah, the VAG Group cars are basically the only reasonable option to get. Yeah, I quite like the Cupra, that's why I bought it. I wouldn't buy a bad car, would I now? Ooh, let's go down there. So basically I have arrived at the harbor. This is my final destination for this video. Oh my god, can I go there? Off-roading in a Cupra. How fun is this? Maybe I'll make some pictures here as well. I want to get stuck. I really don't want to get stuck. Okay, I'm gonna choose this route here. Some nice pictures are coming. So yeah, I like this car a lot. What else to say? Subscribe to my channel. Hope you like the videos. See you again, guys. Bye.